This session of Scanner School is sponsored by our new training course, An Introduction to SDR, or Software Defined Radios. Now, this course is designed to walk you through the process of not only purchasing, but also installing an SDR, getting the accessories hooked up, and getting the software installed in your computer so you are ready to go without wasting time and getting you operational as soon as possible. We'll teach you how to not only set up the hardware, so you can get analog reception, but also P25, DMR, NXDN, and trunking, all again with simple to use hardware and your existing computer setup. So for more information about this introduction to SDR training, please visit our website at scannerschool.com/courses.
Welcome to The Scanner School, a podcast dedicated to the scanner radio hobby. Class is about to begin. Here is your host, Phil Lichtenberger.
So welcome to Scanner School. My name is Phil Lichtenberger. This is session number 78. All the session notes we talk about today can be found at scannerschool.com/session78. So today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's Father's Day here in the United States. It's basically, for those of you outside of the U.S., it's kind of a day for families to get together and recognize the fathers in our lives. So it's a great time of year to reflect on basically my father, and being that today is Father's Day, if you've been following around on my on the Instagram account for Scanner School, again, scannerschool.com/Instagram, you'll see that I've been busy all day. I've been up since about 10 to 5 this morning, and I got a nice pork shoulder butt on the smoker. It's been going now for about 10 hours, and it's just getting to the point now where I'm going to start thinking about taking it off. So it's been a long day monitoring the smoker. I'm grabbing about 30 minutes right now just to sit down and talk with you guys and go about what's on my mind with Father's Day. Father's Day is, like I said, it's a time to reflect. It's a time to remember our fathers if they have passed, or those in our lives who are father figures to us. Also friends of ours who are also fathers and whatnot. So, some of the gifts basically that, maybe some of us have been getting have been scanner radio objects, antennas, maybe gift cards or whatnot. But really the best gift that we can all give or receive is time with our family. And that to me, again, is something that is strong with me, and my history with my father is when it comes to Scanner. So if you've listened to like the very first episode of Scanner School all the way back in session 1, you've heard my background story. And for those of you who haven't, this is going to be news to you. But for some of you who have been longtime listeners now for over a year now, you may maybe reliving this story with me just as well. But I got my start in radio thanks to my dad. And everything that I have now, as far as the love for the hobby, the addiction for it, the disease for having to have all the newest radios that are out there, even my ventures into amateur radio, although he didn't go as far into it as I did, and even the times were different. His generation was more into the CB stuff, where I got into CB maybe for, I don't know, a month or two, because we both had one of the guys I used to talk to, his father was my dad's friend, and the two of them were big into CB. So it was just the obvious thing where us as the sons basically took over our dad's CB equipment and moved all the hardware into our rooms, and would talk to each other over CB. But eventually we all graduated into amateur radio, and that's where we continue to do with our radios. But again, scanning is such a great hobby to pass along to either your parents, your father, if you're a if you're the child, I guess, who's into it, or I could say if you're an adult and your parents are still around, right? It's good to maybe give something to your father to listen to kind of keep him occupied, instead of having him just watch TV all day long after retirement age, right? And it's also good too to get our kids into the scanner radio hobby as well, because it does bring out interest in them. Maybe it will get them interested in law enforcement and respect for them, as to what we're actually hearing about a lot on the news and social media and those kinds of things. It may spark interest in the younger generation to want to become emergency responders, get involved in fire and paramedics, or even stuff like that, or they listen to aviation and they want to become a pilot. Could be a great bonding experience if you guys are into NASCAR. You decide to go out and see a couple races, and to have the radio with you is another way to bring you into the hobby. And again, I've talked about my love for air shows. And I go with my uncle, who's my father's brother in this relationship here. And again, he's like another father figure to me. We spent a lot of time together as I was growing up. Unfortunately, we haven't been spending so much time since I've been married because, life just gets in the way. And unfortunately, that's the things that kind of happen here. But him and I, we would go to the air shows or practices together before the air shows because less crowds, easier to get into, and you can come and go as you please, as opposed to being on the beach with tens of thousands of other people. And we would set up our radios and we would go out and listen to the Jets practicing, and then we go out into Eisenhower Park here on Long Island, and we would see some of the demos that come in from Fleet Week that would come in through New York City as well. So again, generational gap here, and the love for both each other and our hobby as well is something that we have as a family here as a bonding experience. So what are some of the things too that I'm doing here to help get my daughter? I've got a 5-year-old daughter, for those of you who don't know, and she is a handful, as most 5-year-olds are. But one of the things that she has taken an early liking to, besides me, is radios. I guess because I'm always using them and because she always sees them around and she likes to, emulate what she sees and what she likes. So she's always grabbing for a radio on the desk and asking if she can use it, if she can turn it on, if she can have it. She wants to play radio. She wants to pretend to be talking into the scanners and having conversations across the room with me, which I think, is great. And I'm sure 5 years from now, I'm going to miss this. But for now, it's been a great couple of years where she has been doing this. And again, it's never too early, I think, to get them into the hobby. One of the things I've done, too, to help kind of solidify, just playing with something that I enjoy with my daughter is I gave her, not to keep, but to use when I'm around, is an FRS radio, a family radio service type of radio. Those little half-watt radios that we can use around the house, and she enjoys talking on them, or I could be in the basement working on a project or my podcast or my side business or something like that, and she'll be upstairs and she'll call down to me, "Daddy, what are you doing downstairs?" And as that can get quite annoying because it's every 5 seconds, "Daddy, what are you doing now? What are you doing now? Can you come upstairs? I just want to get something done." But she's learning how to use the radio, and she's learning that it's fun and it's something that can be done like that. So, something like that, get them involved, get them into the radio with something that's cheap and easy. But right now I'm looking around for different scanner radios that I can actually give to my daughter so she can listen to something other than just me and her talking. Maybe it would just be, and again, she has no idea what she's really listening to. So even if I just throw on aviation, she just wants to listen to something coming through. She does like listening to the fire department. She likes listening to the emergencies and saying, "There's a call for a fire over at this street," or "Somebody fell down and hit their head." So from a 5-year-old, again, very exciting. Again, from a 40-year-old too, very exciting. And again, that's something that I want to talk about as well is, this is a great Father's Day for me, and I would hope for my dad because this is his 40th Father's Day, and it's also my 5th Father's Day. So today marks a lot of milestones in our family as well. So that's what we've got going on here. So again, me getting involved with scanner radios is all thanks to my dad. All right, my dad, I remember growing up, and we always had scanners around. And I've told the story before about at my grandparents' house with the old Electric Bearcat 101 with the flashing lights that would go up and down, up and then cycle through again. And I just remember looking at that radio, and to me, again, I have one of those right over my shoulder over here. And every time I see that radio, I am brought back in time. And I remember seeing that at my grandparents' house. I remember that vaguely being at my folks' house, but I definitely remember that scanner radio being a part of my grandparents. My dad would have a couple of realistic radios laying around the house that we would use, and he always used to keep them either on the nightstand or on top of the refrigerator. I remember seeing them in the garage. And a lot of those radios that I remember growing up, he, again, having the same disease I have where, first of all, you can't throw anything out. Second of all, you have to have all the new radios that are out there. I ended up acquiring most of the radios that he had. And if they're not in boxes in my attic, they're in my basement. They're sitting right here. and they're within eyeshot. And I do remember seeing some of these radios and using some of them and pushing the buttons on them when I was growing up. And again, just having them here is a reminder of, me growing up and my dad handing this hobby off to me, but just having these radios around. I'm a little bit afraid to turn these radios on to use them because being just how old they are, I don't want to have any caps blow up in them or anything like that. I have to go through recapping them. So to me right now, they're really nice to have here on the shelf. I think maybe in a little bit when I redo the basement here and I get myself a real area, I'm going to wall in this whole section of the basement over here and put a door behind it and make it officially my area where I can just listen to radios and record podcasts and eventually get back into doing YouTube videos. This will be my area for that, and I will have all those radios out on display. And yes, I will, from time to time, turn them on and get to use them and just listen to them and watch them work. And even if they don't even hold the memory anymore, or if things aren't functional anymore on the BC 101, just to turn it on and see it. And some of these radios too, they had a little bit of smell to them, and just to get back and go back in time. And again, this is all a hand-me-down, right? This is from one generation handing off to the other and handing off to the other. So that's a bit of my story. Again, we talked a few weeks ago about my Bearcat 200. Again, that was something that my uncle had, and my dad had one of those. And of course, I had to follow in their footsteps and get one of those as well. So I hope that you and your family and your situation, if you haven't discovered the love of scanning from your parents, your father, maybe you have a loved one in your life who you've acquired the hobby from. Maybe it's time for you to teach the hobby and introduce it to your father if they're still around or anything else. It can be introduced the other way too. But again, if you have kids, I'm sure that teenage kids, they're like, "Not whatever, you like it, you think it's cool. Well, guess what? It's not for me." You're right, but they may come around. Or you may be in a lucky situation like I'm at, where your 5-year-old completely looks up to you and wants to emulate you and be like you. And of course, having a couple of radios around the house, she wants them as well. Before we go, I also want to thank our Patreon supporters: Scott Vorder, Signals Everywhere, Craig Harper, Ken Newberry, Kenneth Fowler, William R. Can, Dan, Glenn Bryden, Anthony Saggio, Raymond Hill, James Felling, MT Bono, and Mark Beebe. You can help support Scanner School on a month-to-month continued basis, just like the PBS model. That's what Patreon is. It's a monthly support to keep Scanner School funded. We got a lot of costs that help keep Scanner School going, such as podcast hosting, website hosting, VA monthly fees as well, and as a countless others that also go along with what it costs to produce the podcast. You can help support Scanner School not only by going to Patreon, but also by one-time PayPal donations. If you're a shopper of Scanner Master, for any scanner hardware, any accessories, cases, batteries, programming, antennas, you can go to scannerschool.com/scannermaster. That's our affiliate code, and if you use that and you buy something from Scanner Master, we earn a small commission off that. It also helps to keep Scanner School going. If you love Amazon as much as I do, in fact, I just placed 2 orders today. I can't believe I just did 2 in one day. But if you like Amazon, you go to scannerschool.com/support. You can click on our Amazon link, and whatever it is you purchase, we will get a credit for as long as you use our link first. So if you're buying tennis balls, underwear, scanner radio accessories, or even other electronic devices, we will get credit for the sale. It's a great way to help support Scanner School without it costing anything additional to you. With that, again, scannerschool.com/support is how you can find ways to help support Scanner School. And I want to say thank you in advance for your support. So I'm not going to hold you any longer. Make this a nice, simple, short, sweet little podcast for you. Again, to all you fathers out there, I hope you've enjoyed your Father's Day. Whenever Father's Day is in your country, or whenever it is that you're listening to this, well, anytime in the future, again, happy belated Father's Day, or happy Father's Day a couple weeks or months from now. Okay, guys. Again, I'm going back outside. I got family calling by in about half an hour here. I'm going to go back outside and check out that pork butt I got on the smoker for the last, 6.5 hours now, and getting ready to shred it out into pulled pork. With that, thanks again, Dad. I am in this hobby because of you, and I greatly appreciate it and everything that you have taught me in my life, both with radio and beyond that, as a person and as a professional and as a father and everything else. From one father to the next, I want to say Happy Father's Day, and we'll catch you next week on Scanner School. We teach everything you need to know about the scanner radio hobby. 73.